Today's lesson will focus on 3.2 with slope formula. This is on page 8 of the packet, so go ahead and copy this down. Right now it's going to look a little crazy, but we have done rise over run. What we're adding to it is the formula, meaning instead of giving you a graph and you counting it, I'm going to give you 2 points on the line. You're going to use the information to substitute into the formula. But if you do not know this formula, then it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to solve these problems. So go ahead and pause the video and write this down. There's also a picture of this put on Google Drive for your information. Then we're going to do an example of this on this page. So with our slope formula, right, we know how to count given 2 points. What we are now going to do is actually graph these. So let's go ahead and do this. Well, sorry, not graph them, calculate them. We know our formula is m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So all these little 2's and these 1's just have to do, hey, the information for this comes from the first point, or the information for this comes from the second point. You know this as you have 2 points. So if this, all points are x comma y, right? We know this, all points. But which one is an x and which one's the y? There's 2 different numbers. We don't know which one it is. So instead we have these little footnotes. So this is x1 and y1 because both of these are part of the first point. So for the second point, it's going to be x2 and y2. Reason it's x first is because it's always x, right? X, comma, y, right here, y. The difference is you have a 1 if it comes from the first point or a 2 if it comes from the second point. You're not multiplying this. You're not doing any of that. You're just substituting in the information. I'm going to show you how the second point, I'm going to make it pink. And the first point, I'm going to make it green, just so we can see where everything's going. The slope is what we're looking for, so we're just going to write m. I'm in the habit of just kind of drawing this division sign looking thing because this is the subtraction sign right from here. So it kind of helps you just set up the problem so we don't lose any negative signs. So now we want to do y2 first. Well, we look at what y2 is, and we see that it's 4. So I'm going to go ahead and put 4 in the y2 spot. Then I have y1. I'm not even worried about the subtraction sign because I already put it there. So y1 is 1 from the first point. All right, so I'm going to write that in green just so you could see it. 1. I'm going to do the same thing for x. I have -5 in my x2, and I have a -3 in my x1. Do you see how now I ended up with a subtracting negative? This is what I said. If you set it up beforehand by putting this here from the beginning, you won't lose any negative signs. Well, now I'm going to go ahead and calculate. So I get m equals, well, in the numerator, when I do 4 minus 1, I get a 3. In the denominator, when I do 5 minus -3, that's the same thing as -5 plus 3. So I get a -2. This is what our slope is. This is what our rise over run is. We're not graphing anything, though. We're just calculating it. We're just trying to find out what the slope is. There's nothing to simplify here. I can keep it as an improper fraction. Let's do one more before you go ahead and do practice on your own. So we're going to write down our formula. We know all coordinates are x comma y. Formula, yes, while you practice, you should be writing this formula over and over and over again, just so until you memorize it. After that, you do not have to write it so often. Here's your x1, y1, x2, y2. So I have m equals, set it up, right? So first step is to write down formula until you memorize it. Second step is to label your x comma y, right? Whether it's a x1 or an x2, depending on which point. Step 3 is to substitute the information. My y2 is -3, so I'm going to put that right there. My y1 is 5, so I'm going to put this here where the y1 goes. Then I have my x2, which is 3, and my x1, which is -2. Last and final step is to calculate. So we get m equals, let's calculate the numerator. Get -3 minus 5, we get a -8. And we put that over whatever's in the denominator. Denominator is 3 minus -2. Use your calculator if you need to. You get a +5. We do not have to simplify this. Now, if this was a -16 over 10, then yeah, let's simplify it. So make sure you're following these steps. Go ahead and practice the rest of the page, and that is how you solve for slope using your slope formula.